But then
I just didn't know.
you're the former quick. Yeah. This one is like one of those. I don't get it.
We get it stale, so.
We're ready to roll.
Let's go.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We move to approval of the agenda. We entertain a motion to move new business ahead of old business. Agenda.
I'll move. Support.
Okay. Looks like there's support, so there's none opposed. We'll move new business item in front of old business item. So we'll move into the approval of the minutes. November 2nd minutes. Review of the new application. I don't think there's any issues with this one that I found, as you guys did. So then maybe they appointed existing positions for officers.
I didn't see anything. Move we approve the November meeting minutes.
Is there support?
Can I vote?
Oh, yeah. Here.
I'll support them.
Okay. All in favor of approving the November 2nd, 2022 minutes, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Move to the December 13th minutes and received some feedback for items, lines 21, 26, and 27, I believe.
22.
22.
21, 22, 26,
To change the word complaint or complaints to,
Concerns.
raise concerns.
Can you go over those numbers again?
Yeah,
20, 21, 22, 26, and 27.
No, you're good, thanks. That's good.
Got it.
So it should read, he also was concerned. Also raised concerns.
Any items? We're scanning through, I didn't see any issues for now.
I don't see anything else.
So,
Move approval as amended.
motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Support.
Support. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Good, I see anything about
Yeah, just let me make sure I highlight these red that are amended. Okay, so we will move into the call to the public next, and I just want to mention for everyone's awareness that Zach Michaels is no longer with Carlisle Workman. I think he found somewhere else to work, etc. So they are replacing him, and Doug Lewan, who was here at some of the visiting sessions, will be covering for Zach. And we'll be at our next workshop meeting. So just an update for everybody. I know there's many of you that probably got to know Zach pretty well. So,
He was a good look good.
We all really liked him, he'll be missed.
Yeah, well,
For sure.
Yeah, so this time we'll move to calls of the public. Public comment at this time.
And are there two different calls that you're gonna make?
Yeah, there's,
Can you come up here to the front, please?
if, like, there's one prior to the agenda in our business and then at the end here.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm
What
good till the
time
end.
would it be appropriate for the solar and then not a second call?
The first one is for items on the agenda.
Okay.
And the second one, the one before we close, is for anything, any other items that you'd like to bring up.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead, it looks like he's standing. Yeah, go ahead.
I get to go first tonight. I,
Please state your name. I know a lot of us know you.
Steve Hasbrook, I live on Fawcett Road. I was on the planning commission for many, many years, and during the time that we wrote the agribusiness ordinance, so I wanted to talk about the new business item as it relates to mainly one item, which is the 50/50 as far as where the products have to originate from. Now, I always felt that was never really a good wording for that ordinance. There's a lot of businesses that rely on a annual crop, and, you know, that's all good for, you know, fitting into that, but what the applicants are doing with logs is way different as far as a crop rotation. Yeah, I read through the business plan as it relates to how they're gonna acquire logs, which I think it's ideal what they're doing by getting them from the tree service people and wherever else they can get them, rather than harvesting on any one or two or four parcels, because trees that need to be utilized for what they do with them, you know, that's gonna be spotty where those come from. And I think it's just the right way to do it. So you guys need to probably allow for not being strict on the 50/50. The planner obviously noted it like 4 or 5 times in his write-up, you know, but he didn't ever say whether it was a game, you know, ender or not, you know. So I just hope you take into account really what they're utilizing is a renewable renewable product. And trees, you know, they can be cut up for firewood. A lot of those big trees that, you know, get taken down by the road commission, they just push them off into the ditch and they rot there forever because they're hard to handle. But I think, you know, people such as this gentleman, I've never met him. I drove by the property just a short time ago, but they obviously have an entrepreneurial spirit, which I appreciate that in our township. And, you know, for those that haven't been around our ordinance very long, almost any business that started here in the last 20 years, the ordinance pretty much was written so that they could go into business, because nothing fits, you know, the stuff that, you know, us brainiacs that sat in, you know, up front there and write rules, and, you know, everything has to be adjusted as far as what I've seen through the years. So, the master plan, can I talk about that, or is my time up?
Yeah, if you could, quickly, go ahead.
Trying to be brief,
Yeah, try
but
to.
there's stuff in there that I think needs to be improved on, which obviously you guys are gonna have you know, plenty more time to work on. I understand that the goal is to have it done by the end of the year is what I've kind of heard, but, you know, in the packet, it shows the future land use or existing land use. There's quite a bit in there that obviously isn't accurate, what's currently on it. You know, like around the lakes, it shows only like half of the lots as being, you know, residential homes, which I don't know what the black is that are on them other lots, but it's clearly not accurate. But, okay, thank you very much.
I've got a question for you, if you don't mind. Could you, yeah, you.
Yeah.
do you, it sounds like you're very knowledgeable with this so far. Do you have a list of each thing? Because I mean, you said, you were talking very generic. Do you have more of a defined list that you could email us?
You want to know why I don't have a list? You know, there was only very limited time to talk
I get it.
into the visioning sessions.
Right.
And you guys were the ones that decided you needed to redo the whole shebang, which I thought was BS myself, but, you know, if you guys want to do that, you're in for a long haul, because you're gonna have to do a lot of ordinance updates too, so.
Right.
But, you know, I'll be around to do some fill-in, but I was maybe gonna wait until a public hearing at the end to let you have it, but I'm not sure yet.
Just a heads up, we'll be talking more about the existing land use map in more
Okay.
detail at
Yeah.
our workshop next Wednesday.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
That's the priority.
Definitely invite you
Anyone
back for that.
else? Public comment? Go ahead.
Okay, I just am asking a general.
State your name.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I know.
yeah, Kim Fracolosi, Deer Park Court. Why are we messing with an ordinance on a random project before we have the master plan done on where we want to put this stuff? So how do you know how to alter an ordinance when you don't?
So this might answer a few people's questions in the audience.
So basically, we have current standards for utility grade solar developments.
Right.
The whole intent of this is to make sure, because if you've noticed what's going on with some of the other
Right.
townships in the area,
Right,
they're being approached and they are being developed as large-scale solar facilities.
right,
We want to get on top of it and make sure that we beat any potential development that comes in, to make sure that our standards are going to be as tight as they possibly can be, so that they're not going to create nuisance factors.
okay,
It is not something that can be outright prohibited, but we can limit it in terms of what areas we allow it in. Right now, we allow it in certain commercial, industrial type zoning districts, but we also allow it in farming residential.
right.
That's gonna be the primary area of discussion, is whether or not we really need to include it in farming residential.
Right, okay, no, is my answer, but, okay, cool.
Yep.
So it was a concern, not a complaint.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
This is a concern also. Jeanette Ropetta, Fuller Drive. And to the gentleman that spoke previously, just so everyone knows, we have tried and offered to do committees and wanting to help and do the research for the things that we've talked about, and we've not been allowed to. So as far as people getting involved, when you come to the workshop, it's still public comment time. It's not a workshop of the people being allowed to participate. I really hope that you guys somehow will be able to, and again, I offer to stay back and not be on any committee at all if that's what the concern is by the supervisor. But I think the people are willing and wanting to help. I think it should be honored that some committees put together, give us some assignments, give them some research things to do. They could be helping with this. One of the things I want to bring up tonight is the new, let's see what's on the agenda, and I'm sorry, I can't pronounce their last name, I just know Mike. And I have read their proposal, and I think it's amazing what they're doing, and I look forward to seeing them in the community. I hope everything goes through without a hitch. I'm going to bring up, though, again, I think it's ironic that you guys just approved meeting minutes for the Peabody public hearing, which is, what, almost 4 months ago that you guys sent it to the board to be approved. And in that time, several residents have made concerns known to the board, and we get the standard, thank you for your comment. My question is, why should someone like this have to go through all this process, procedure, trying to live by the ordinances, do what you guys want to do, when other people, and I know you guys aren't doing this, but other people are allowed to just carry on, have events, don't have to post, no alcohol, can have events that they told you guys in the meeting minutes that they weren't going to be doing. They were supposed to get approval from the fire department, all of that. And it seems like it goes on deaf ears. So I don't understand, why do we have a planning commission if the rules aren't being applied fairly to everyone? If I was someone that wanted to start a business here that involved a lot of regulations, et cetera, I would just start it. I would start it, and I would probably come after the township and sue them for not treating me fairly as they treat everyone else. So my letter that was sent to the board, 3 letters, and even safety concerns, and I copied you on, Rich, and I copied also Ross, and I assume that you share it with the rest of the commission, but I don't know what you have to do to get an answer around here or some kind of input or conversation, because those were very valid concerns. Again, I'm going to go back and say that when I saw Mr. Peabody's presentation, I thought it was amazing. I think it's a great thing. I really do. I think it's a great thing for the community. But if you guys aren't, if the township isn't enforcing that they comply with these rules and looking the other way, what message does it send to the community? For one thing, it's not fair. And second of all, I think it opens you up to a lot of, possible lawsuits. I don't know what you can do about that. I thought that the process was, what you approved here was you sent it to the board, right? So that's where it went. The board had several opportunities for meetings that they said no new business, and then they still haven't done anything about it. And as far as I know, it has to come publicly in a meeting. Are they meeting behind closed doors and deciding what to do with Peabody's? That doesn't seem fair to me either. So, I don't know.
Council, are you all set?
Pardon me?
Are you done with your public comment time?
I am.
Okay, yeah, so
Is that okay? Do I have more time?
No, I was just gonna answer regarding Peabody.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
We made a motion to recommend conditional approval, so.
Correct.
It's not.
Until the conditions are met, it can be brought to the board for approval.
So it did not go to the board?
It's
It
not
has
in the
not,
board
no.
yet, no.
Okay, and my mistake, I understood.
Yeah,
that
I
was
just
it.
wanted to clarify that.
Okay, so they're still dealing with you.
They have to satisfy the conditions
Okay.
we placed upon the recommendation. Yeah.
And you guys are fully aware that they're operating and they're doing things that wasn't even in their proposal.
They will all be addressed before it goes to the board.
Good, and you know that it sends a message to the community. Okay.
Thanks. Any other
That's not what point now.
public comment at this time? Go ahead, if you could come up, please, and state your name. Thank you.
This is very odd. I'd rather have the podium. Why don't you do the podium?
No one will answer.
We haven't moved it back.
Would you like me to put you on film for my channel?
That's totally. My name is Stephanie Schulte.
I can't hear.
My name is Stephanie Schulte.
Why don't we get the podium up here?
I live, he's asking for the podium.
You gotta address them, not us, but we should be able to hear it.
I'll do my best. I can speak louder. So my name is Stephanie Schulte. I'm a resident of Tyrone Township, and I'm here with my husband, and we would like to express our concerns about the utility scale solar facility discussion. Our concerns in regards to this discussion starts with Tyrone Township recognizing the positive impact solar energy systems promise, no promise, not concrete benefits, without outlining a thorough list of the known negative, if not devastating impacts. While impressive, listed comments address many potential issues with land use and attempt to provide protections, we endeavor to quickly point out some finer points that may not enter into the conversation. Additionally, while the courtesy review states the district does not support the development of utility-scale solar facilities in the farming residential zoning districts, towards the end of that document, there appears a reversal or contradictory solution by allowing exactly that, including lands enrolled in PA 116 programs. Does the staff realize utility-scale solar developments are the largest-scale industrial complex systems requiring hundreds of acres of cleared land spreading across several square miles? The virtual sea of panels is breathtaking, if not altogether terrifying. No token hedgerow will hide this monument to climate hysteria. No amount of "I told you so" will diminish the devastating impacts cleverly avoided by manipulated studies and impact assessments, often controlled by sympathetic investigators. Hundreds of acres of trees and grazing lands will never again provide the shade, food, groundwater protection, or wildlife shelter. The millions of gallons of water required for the maintenance of the panels will not automatically self-restore. Aquifers have their limits. The devastation to fragile ecosystems and the mining of precious minerals to build the batteries to back up the intermittent power production will never be recovered. The fact that birds are being burned to death by the heat radiating from these solar panels exceeding hundreds of degrees are said to be a necessary evil to protect future birds is nonsensical. The data available proving these mass avian deaths is current and growing. The proof of salvation of these animals is purely emotional conjecture, calling what is real a lie and what is common and what is completely unknown a truth that has become the altar on which is sacrificed all common logic and empirical evidence. Some final facts to consider as you investigate potential future ordinance compliance. Bald eagles have been removed from the endangered species list. Only one bat is included for protection despite the many different families that occupy our area. Only one sandhill crane is on the protected list. This particular bird also does not reside with the many sandhill cranes that call this entire county its home. How convenient. But we are an amazing bird sanctuary, and for a wide, diverse group of raptors, cranes, bats, and songbirds that nest and live and depend on our beautiful country. Final important facts. It is illegal in the state of Michigan to have a vested interest in any solar or wind turbine project, including anemometers, whether directly or through a relative, and at the same time be a voting member on a commissioner's board. Solar does not provide a fraction of the energy required, and costs associated with its production and maintenance are gargantuan by comparison. Please, please, please expand your knowledge and perform due diligence on this profoundly controversial matter. We are providing a sheet with video links and information to help direct you to thoughtful research. So I have a copy for you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Real estate.
Appreciate it. Very much appreciate it. Thank you. Anyone?
Okay, is there any other public comment this time? Yes, Scott?
Scott Dietrich, White Lake Road. I know you got, the comment was made, I don't want to really push it too much because I know they're almost done for the season. Peabody's will be done here. The only problem is they've had months to get started and we have got nothing. And my problem is that, and I've already found this out from what happened down the street from my house, and the township had to chase them anytime, it was your farm. It was an ongoing yearly thing. They just kept wanting to do what they wanted to do. So if he's gonna act like that now, what's he gonna be like in the future? This agribusiness, no, we don't change our, agribusiness is agribusiness. We don't want to expand it anymore. If you don't live next to where it's going, yeah, it's okay. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but I think it's in the same direct area that where the Linden and Center Road, at the general area.
It's east of that.
Yeah, so we already had a big problem with the wedding barn that was going to be proposed there, and the neighbors were really, I think they were proposing outdoor events or something here on this one too, maybe, talking about it. I'd like to get into more detail exactly what's going on there. But no, I think, my dad farmed. My dad sold produce. My dad wasn't selling anything other than what he's growing. You know, there's a couple things he had brought in from a few guys he knew. But agribusiness is agribusiness. I don't know if that's gonna fall into it. I mean, a business is fine. But like I said many a times, neighbor one, neighbor two, who has more rights? You got the neighbor next to him, says no. He should have just as much rights as the guy asking to have it done. You know, he shouldn't be pushing the other neighbor out. I've had that done to me twice. I had to move because of this stuff. So, if anything, I think if anybody's going to business, an agribusiness, if it's considered, if there's a percentage that has to be produced there, grown there, that's what it falls under, then I say stick with it. I know Ann Arbor, I looked at this years ago, they had a place that was selling produce and plants and stuff, and they were bringing everything in. And Ann Arbor shut them down because they didn't meet that threshold. There's a threshold there. I mean, under that, if you don't do that, then you're gonna have everybody open retail shops, because that's basically what it's gonna turn into. So, but like I said, we just gotta make sure, like I said, it's not gonna affect me, fine, but I worry about the neighbor or the neighbors. Like I said, the people doing this, I don't know them. I know a Millard Nursery, I bought nursery products from them when I was a kid working for Lepic over on 59 over in Highland, Milford area. I don't know if they're the same family, but like I said, if it affects one person, that should be enough. Their rights don't supersede the other people. So, but we do need to make sure we keep them within some kind of specification for future. But the solar farm here, I understand, yes, we do need to address it. Okay, I have a lot of concerns, you know, I don't know, I hear a lot of hoopla and a lot of conspiracy. I mean, smokestacks can kill a lot of things too. I don't want to see a solar farm, believe me, I don't want to see it full, I gotta see them up on roofs. But I mean, I don't want to overrate it, but yes, if we're gonna, I don't want a solar farm, don't get me wrong. But yeah, let's get on it, make sure, and then we have to during the master plan, we can tweak it some more, so, but, yeah, let's get on it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Scott. Any other public comment?
Craig Morales, Precinct 4, and I just want to make a simple statement about solar farms. I'm vehemently opposed to any plans for those solar or wind, pie in the sky, superficial, non-existent energy sources. At peak performance, peak conditions, solar power only produces maximum 20 to 25% efficiency. And if you're planning on destroying home values, property values, and home values, and values in this township, then they'll be held to pay for such a poor decision to allow that to come into our township as well as our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Any other comments at this time? Okay, we'll move into new business, item number 1. Let's see. So, Mike, I don't know if you'd like to give just a high-level overview, or it's not required, but if you could, it might help the planning commission.
Sure.
My name's Mike Millark, 9149 Center Road. So just an overview of our application basically is turning our farm into, as the gentleman said, so whether it falls under agribusiness, forestry, however you want to classify it, but we do custom woodworking. So we harvest and produce all our own material. We harvest trees from not only our farm, other family farms, our property up in northern Michigan. We have our own sawmills, our own kiln, so we literally go from forest to finished product on our material, our products, and we build things such as dining room tables, countertops, fireplace mantles, right down to small decor items, birdhouses, chainsaw carvings, etc., etc. So last year, we were given a home occupation permit. We were also approved to build our pole barn, which we've completed. We had our inspections and all that stuff. So that the phase of where we're at now in the application of giving the land use permit is so that we can turn our section of our pole barn into a small little shop, little retail shopping store, basically. So where we have our finished products. Again, going back to our tables and things of that nature, we would have those on display. I take those products to art shows regularly, so my products are coming and going out of my place all the time. But the times that I have people come to custom order, place an order, pick up a product, et cetera, they can walk around the store and officially, quote unquote, shop in the store. So I don't want to make a large Walmart. I'm not looking to make any gargantuan amount of business. We want to have a few people have the ability to come over and buy raw material, finished products, place orders, things of that nature. So that's kind of a general overview of where we're at. We had on the proposal some possible future plans for down the road. I don't know if you want to discuss those now or later, but.
Well, that's fine. We may ask questions on the about
Sure.
them as we go through the review, but
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah. This time is just an overview. Thanks.
So I met with, I don't know if you want me to kind of walk you through the steps of what I've done now. I've met with Livingston County Road Commission. They've been out, we have the engineer drawings, which you have the copies of there. I spoke with Kim Hiller from the Road Commission yesterday, and all we have to do is expand. We have to pave the entrance, so we convert our residential approach to a commercial approach. So it's a very, very simple upgrade. By literally, we have to expand it by about 3 feet east and west, and we have to expand the right-of-way out about, well, it'll be 20 feet of pavement and then extension of the gravel going up the driveway, which is all on the plan, the 21AA. So our driveway will be, commercial approach. We've talked to the county as far as any possible well, septic, water, electric, the whole rigmarole. Everything's fine with what we have. We don't need to put in a well. We don't need to put in a septic field. We can use our existing septic field for the single bathroom we'll have. I don't know what else.
That's good, thanks, appreciate it. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can, if you want to stay here or sit there, and we can ask questions. But
No problem.
appreciate you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. And Ross, you can probably provide a good overview of where we're at in the process.
Yep, so basically, so far, we've received the application, we've received a plan review of the application. Since we've received that review, the applicant has done a very good job of putting together information to address the majority of those conditions. As far as I can tell, going through this and comparing it to the information that's been provided, there's a few questions that the planning commission will need to make a decision on. Number one question being, does the site plan information, is it sufficient, adequate enough to be considered for a special land use, or are we going to require a professionally engineered site plan? There are instances where that's required. Unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of examples of agribusiness within the township to compare it to. If we did have an agribusiness, I wouldn't anticipate that it would require a full engineered site plan. But it does ultimately depend on the scale, the scope of the business, anticipated traffic, clientele, that sort of thing. As far as what I can see, based on the review that's prepared and the information that the applicant has provided, we're making some pretty good progress. Really, I think the biggest question, two questions here is the planning commission willing to accept a hand-drawn site plan with the necessary specific details that are required for site plan review, or is an engineered site plan going to be required? That's question number one. The significant question number two is, do we feel that the information provided thus far is substantially complete, and do we feel that it's ready to move forward to the public hearing aspect?
Yeah, thanks.
So that's where we're at.
Appreciate it.
What we can do, I know that we have a little bit of a hiccup right now because we don't have Zach available who prepared this initial review. We can send along the updated information to our planning consultant to have them prepare just an update, which could be potentially available for the next meeting if you choose to hold the public hearing at that time.
So I guess, I have one question, and maybe I missed if it's in here. Did the fire chief review the site plan? Did you get a?
So the fire chief, because we have not finalized the build-out of the barn on the inside, he said he cannot go there until we have all the final inspection completed. But based on all the information and I texted him pictures of what we had and what we had done, he was completely on board with the fire extinguishers, having water around, having smoke detectors in there. We have battery-powered exit signs with lights on all the doors. So he said we've gone above and beyond what we would need, and he would feel.
Yeah, and my question is more, that part of it would be inspected, right, by the county.
Yeah.
But more along the line of access.
Yeah.
For their trucks. Like, if you have the potential to have 50 people there, right?
Oh, yeah.
You want to be able to get in and get out, and that's what more, did he look at the site plan? You know, because they might have like right here, for example, they might want a certain dimension so they can turn around.
Okay.
It's something, it's important that it's not, hey, 15 feet, and then they can't turn their truck around once they get in there. Something just, it's not a huge change in the site plan per se, but it's good to make sure it's what they need, right? If something goes wrong, every second counts in this business, right, with a fire, so that's the only thing.
And I can tell you, my wife was a firefighter for many years as well. Our driveway by the residence is a large circle area. Being that I've been in equipment business and nursery business my whole life, I deal with trucks and trailers all the time. So the driveway by our residence is big enough for a semi to turn around. And then extending through the wooded area back into our barn area, I have a 30-foot gooseneck trailer that I pull behind my pickup truck, and I need ample space to turn that around. So there's, as you can see, that area right there is 70 feet by 140 feet where I park my trailers, plus the little parking area in front of the barn. So there's ample room for probably 20 trucks in there without any problem if needed.
Circulation review by fire inspector could also be, a condition.
Yeah.
Even for final approval, especially if they want to wait until you get the initial reviews.
Yeah.
What kind of hours do you run? Like, is
So
it similar to like Armstrong's millwork down on M59? Do you do that kind of style, or what do you?
we do that and then some.
Okay.
So as far as we'll say business operation goes, working time, typically 8 in the morning till about 5-ish, varies, sometimes 4 o'clock. Not real late because we live there, we have neighbors.
Yeah.
Not that my equipment is super loud, but for me, I don't want the noise. I'm sure they don't want the noise, even though they can't hear it anyways.
Yeah.
So the weekends are very minimal. That's typically when I would have customers come over for a scheduled appointment for a pickup or a custom order. But that's typically 10 to 4, and most of the weekends we're gone doing shows. So it's usually 2 weekends out of the month we're gone, and 1 or 2 weekends we're home. It kind of varies per month, but last year I did about 47 art shows during the summertime, so as you can imagine, I'm not there a whole lot.
You mentioned that there is up to 75 cars in case of a special event. What's your anticipated traffic on regular, non-special event times?
Very minimal. So on a day-to-day basis, Monday through Friday, as with typical business, people working 9 to 5, whatever. So I might have people from, let's say, 3 to 7 come over to go shop to pick out a piece of wood, whatever it is we have to build for them. It's usually, if I get 2 a day, I'm shocked. The weekends,
3, 4, 5, 6 people. I mean, we're not talking thousands of
Okay.
people here.
Yeah.
And the thing with the 75 car, if, it's just a thought for future possible planning, if we had a small event where we had a few local vendors, having, like a farmer's market idea, where we would have a Saturday or maybe a Saturday, Sunday type of event, and we have 34 acres, we have plenty of area for people to park, it's safe. It's not something we have to do, it's just a thought. That's why we put it out there.
Sure.
So very niche market.
Yeah, very niche.
Very niche.
Yeah. It's quite unique, being from raw material to the millworks, as you mentioned, Armstrong.
Well,
So-
that's where I go all the time, so.
Yeah. Well, I don't have to, but they sell lumber, I don't sell lumber. It's,
Yeah. So you don't do any?
You do finished
cut?
product.
I sell slabs, live edge slabs, and then the millworks, so that people that want to make their own stuff,
Yeah.
we can do any cutting, finishing, sanding, and/or once they discover who we are and what I do,
Yeah, no.
just go ahead and make the whole stupid thing for me, and we'll come pick it up when it's done.
And you've been operating there for a while?
We moved in
I saw your sign was there.
We moved in April, and we got a home occupation permit immediately so I could have, running the business there. But we want to go to the next phase with having the small store, so that we can, number one, I can have employees, number two, so that I can have a small store, so that people can come and, on paper legally come and shop at our place and buy product.
Now, are you gonna transition at all? Like, I'm only asking because woodworking in general, like, are you planning on venturing into the finished carpentry of cabinetry making in your shop or anything?
No cabinetry. No, I'm gonna stick with what we have is plenty enough to keep myself busy.
Fair enough.
But, supplying material to people alone is a whole job in itself, let alone doing all the other stuff that I do.
Yeah, and I respect that what you're doing here with some of the tree guys too, because I got a buddy that's big into the tree business around here, and really, whenever he does anything for me, it's always, hey, let's drop it off at Michigan Landscape, they throw it in the chipper,
Right.
and then you guys put it in your garden beds later.
Correct.
I hate seeing that. So,
So we're in a form of recycling, so to
yes,
speak.
and I can see where this, I know it doesn't fall exactly in our ordinances, but it's one of those things that, again, a lot of people don't like what Peabody's doing down there, but that is well known, not just down here, but up in Marquette. It's a niche. It's something that brings to, like, a little hidden jewel to Tyrone Township. Those are the kind of things we want to keep around here.
Thank you.
So I understand what you guys are trying to do here.
Thank you
I
very
can
much.
appreciate that.
Hey Ross, we had any complaints since this has been going?
Nothing.
Thank you.
No, and then and just how did it go in South Lyon?
I'm sorry.
How did it go in South Lyon as far as from complaints, et cetera? I know it was,
We had,
it's more populated where you were there, but.
so I started, my whole business started 2 years ago, I originated it, and everything expanded rapidly, we didn't have the space, hence why we shopped for a farm, and everything has just kind of fallen into place, finding the property, finding the farm, built the barn, et cetera, et cetera. But we had zero complaints. We had, putting up our business sign a couple years ago. We had it up where one guy said yes, one guy said no. Put a sign up, so that caused a fiasco, but we took the sign down, and to this day, people think we still live in South Lyon and whatever, but it was no problem. We never had any problems, and that's why I had to move up here, though, just to be able to build the larger furniture and sell the product and have a place to put stuff. I literally could build one thing at a time in my little shed that I was working out of, so.
Thanks.
I do have a question on your operating hours, and I think I've talked about this before, but I'm going to ask it one more time.
Yeah.
You're using the operating hours for the building and assembly from 8 to 5 on weekdays, which means at 5 you're done. You can't stay till 6 and run the chippers and anything. And it also means you don't work on Saturday or Sunday if you got a job that needs to get out. So I want to make sure that you're not limiting yourselves too much on this, because 8 to 5 is what you'll be stuck with, and you'll have to come back to us again if you want to change those hours.
Okay.
So if you decide that you need to work from, 9 till, or from 10 till 2 on Saturday, you can.
Okay.
And you'd have to come back and say, oh, we need to include some Saturday hours here. So be sure that this is what you want, that you're gonna get.
I appreciate the explanation because I didn't understand it that way previously. But yes, it would be the Monday through Friday, those hours are fine. 6 PM would be the latest. Saturday could be, we'll say maybe 9 to 2 or something like that. I'm not gonna be working on Sundays, I'll be at shows, but to have that, I can certainly amend that. No
Yeah, so
problem.
you'll need to modify your statement here.
That's no problem, I can do
So he
that.
does have the special hours too as well, for special.
Yeah, so-
Item 3.
You can include other statements there if there are going to be off-season special circumstances that allow for a little bit more flexibility, that may allow you to just notify the township
Okay,
to where you can have extended hours as long as there's not any nuisance factors.
when you're mentioning the operating hours, is that the same, the way I understood it was your operating would be for myself and or employees for building?
That should be specifically clarified as far as building working hours as well as shop hours.
Which
Should
I
be-
thought that's what we put on there, because it would be open that time, plus the weekend would be there. So that's how I understood it, but I can extend the operating hours a
Yeah,
little
we'll
bit.
want to make sure that the operating hours are when the saws are running, the chippers are going, the planers are running, all that kind of stuff. So if you're working in there and it's going to be noisy, dusty, smelly, whatever you want to add to it, make sure that that's the hours you want, because that's what you're asking for, so that's what you'll be limited to.
Okay.
And then, if I may, can I add something just regarding the site plan? As far as the site plan goes, one of the things that was called out in the planner's review is parking. I would just recommend making sure that it's clear on the site plan, both the number of spaces delineating where there's going to be the no barrier parking, just tighten all of that information up so it's there, so when you get to the public hearing aspect, it can all be readily available for people to review.
Just a quick question about that, does that need to be on that plan you just had in your
I
hand?
would
Or the
recommend-
other that has the drawing of the interior of the barn, because it's more of a blown up?
I would say that that should be on the actual site plan itself, showing
Okay.
the entire site, so you can show where the parking clearly is, delineate where that's going to be, and you can also include a separate sheet, detailing it out if you so choose, or the planning commission recommends that.
And that's primarily for customer parking
Yeah.
and or employee parking?
Yeah, that's verifying that it meets the standards for Article 25 for off-street parking.
Sure, okay.
Because right now, it's a little bit vague. I mean, you go into a little bit of detail in your use statement, but if it can be shown on the site plan, I think that's going to benefit everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, so Ross, that is the next topic probably we're gonna discuss is the site plan, and it should be as specific as possible.
Oh, yeah.
Similar to how Kurt mentioned, where your hours should be clearly defined. The same thing with this, that way, when we're presenting it at a public hearing, it is representative of what you're intending to use the land for. And so, with that being said, the commission here has to decide, right, if we'll accept, as Ross mentioned, a site plan like this, which we are able to do, or as part of the site plan, we can require it being an engineered drawing is stamped, but,
What we have done in the past for these types of uses is for the initial approval, if it's something that's a relatively small scale, at least for, the first year or two, it would be to potentially accept a hand-drawn, but if there's going to be expansion, if there appears to be nuisance factors that come up, then you may need to get into an engineered site plan. But generally, how we treat it is, for a smaller, lower impact type use, if it's not going to create any notable nuisance factors, we can generally start at this point. But if we do that, I would definitely recommend that there is a stipulation in the recommendation that any expansion moving forward, it will need to be revisited to determine if we need additional.
Well, I would guess without having an engineered drawing, we might want to have a township engineer look at it.
Most likely, yeah, in some of those instances, if that's something, that can be done at either the planning commission or the board level.
when you drew this, did you scale it? Like, I see the grid paper, is this pretty accurate scale-wise?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I didn't put the entire 34-acre parcel on there,
Right,
but
but
it's
It's
pretty close, yes.
And you got to add this parking to this, right, Ross? Add parking to this before special?
Yeah, that's what I would recommend, because I know that that's going to come up. That's the one thing that I noted that wasn't totally clearly addressed
I can
or
do a blow up.
depicted.
I can do a blow up of that section and have a second page to it without any problem.
Perfect.
Yeah. 20 years of landscape design, I can do all that.
I think that would work to get this going to special land use.
It could, from what I've seen. It
Just
could.
keep the ball rolling.
Yep.
Yeah, and just, Ross, if
It all depends, because as a special land use, it's basically an open-ended thing with the township. If it becomes a problem, if they show that they violate the terms, conditions of the special land use, it can be revoked. So that generally happens if there is significant nuisance factors, if there's a number of complaints, if the police get called out, that sort of thing. So it's kind of a monitor as you go, especially with these types of unique uses that aren't really all that prevalent throughout the township.
And I can tell you from my perspective, my family has owned a nursery business for 85 years. So I know firsthand, working 7 days a week, I understand the nuisance factors, I understand residing on your property and owning a business on that property. So with us living there, we are respectful people, respectful of ourselves, and respectful of our neighbors. So I'm not gonna infringe on their doings either. We've purposely had conversations with our neighbors thus far to make sure they're not annoyed, upset,
Or they
whatever,
can't hear us,
anything.
and they can't.
And we do things in such a fashion that, even for, as an example, my workshop inside of our barn, everything is insulated. So even running a plane or a saw is dull. I mean, you can literally be outside and hardly hear a saw running.
Those are all good details, good information. If it's not already noted in the use statement, note that.
Sure.
I know that you have the benefit of having significant, a lot of distance between neighbors. You have a very large piece of property that,
Yep.
could potentially accommodate this type of use, but it still should be noted and,
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ross, the only other thing that I know was brought up as a question that in our zoning ordinance, there's different types of uses that are like categorized in it, and if you look through it and the different type of uses, this is the closest fit. I don't want to mislead, like we're saying this is an agribusiness, but it's the closest fit, and maybe you can.
it could be permitted either directly as an agribusiness or as a similar use as determined by the Planning Commission subcommittee. When the subcommittee initially met on this, they determined that based on the proposal, it appeared that it would clearly fit into the category of agribusiness. I think the biggest question of that is the 50% number, which the way that it's written may be open to some interpretation, but that's going to be at the discretion of the Planning Commission and ultimately the board to make that determination.
I think in this instance, it'd be nearly impossible to grant that, because.
So it does state, I think we want to pull up the actual ordinance. I can try to bring it up on my phone here. Because it does say that it is to be produced on site, but I believe there's some language on there that also says properties that are owned or maintained by the property owner that may be off-site.
Correct.
So offhand, all right, yeah, if you just click on,
I'd like, going back to Garrett's comment, I've know some tree guys too, and, it's really a shame when they cut down a 30-inch sugar maple and take the chipper. That's just such a waste.
it is.
So bring it to me.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Yeah. Wipe them out.
Sugar maples of some kind.
Bring me a lot, I'll build you something for free. It's a fair trade.
Talk.
Everybody's like, hi. Piques some interest.
So they want to be recorded.
But just do a control find and type in agri. next, or previous meeting, or next.
Good with that.
You know, you go to people's houses and play here.
Yeah, do next on your thing there. That's roadside stand.
Yeah, I'm trying to get more involved in
There
local
we
stuff
go.
because not a lot of local people don't know us.
So we're looking at, keep going down.
Five or less. Something crazy.
Plus me.
Yeah, really.
They're fighting over the shoulder.
Yeah, you better be a designer for the table.
I need one.
She could be a boss. There. Boss people around us.
I got a boss.
Oh, yeah. Solid
We're out of it, into the next one.
Yeah.
But at this point, we want to make sure to provide direction, if needed to the applicant. But also, I think at this time, we don't have to.
We can get into that.
Determination, exactly, but things I have so far, the parking to be defined on the site plan, and the hours.
Yeah, as far as the
Clear.
specific details, the pertinent details of the use statement, we can request ultimately that they get incorporated onto the site plan document, but that's more of a buttoning up later on type thing, just making sure that all of the pertinent information is consolidated.
Yeah,
Because that info is there, it's just in the use
It
statement.
would be I guess from my standpoint, it would be the best way to do it, so it's tied to the site plan.
Yeah.
That's how we've been treating it.
Gaps,
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
Would be a condition.
Yeah. Is there any other items we need from the applicant?
So now I guess we get to the two questions. Are we okay with what we have currently? Number one, to move forward. Number two is, should I schedule the public hearing for next month?
The one item I think would be good to know is, obviously it'll make the site plan get bigger, but is the distance to neighboring properties and buildings, right? And obviously it's not gonna be perfect, because they're quite a ways away if you look at the,
That could be a note too.
but yeah, just to know, because, so it's clearly shown.
Or not to
Just-
scale,
just-
just noted on the plan.
Yeah.
To their property lines, is that what you're looking for?
Yes.
Or to their building?
To the building.
To the buildings, right? Because it is
As
significant.
it relates to what, to the?
To where you're gonna be doing the work,
Okay.
right?
As much information as possible, so you can include both property line and also, approximate to structure if that.
As we mentioned, most of these things we're reviewing and surrounding it in regards to the potential for nuisance, right? And just clear,
I can
good if it's
tell you
documented.
from my workshop and even the new barn that's built, even with the new barn, you're minimum 400 to 500 feet to another residence or any other structure around, minimum. And that would be the gentleman to the
That's an ag barn up there.
southwest. That's a barn, that is correct, that's a barn, which is still 500 feet from barn to barn. But there's a house closer to Center Road on our west lot line, right? There, that's where his house is at.
Yeah.
So you're talking 500 to 600 feet from barn to that home. And then the other home, which is to the directly east of there.
No, just, fine, just as long as it's on there, and then the only other item that I had was to make sure it's in the use statement that it mentions that this will continue to be your primary residence also.
It's in there.
Yep. I don't know, do you guys have anything else this time?
think it's good to move forward.
Are you clear on what we need?
Have it all written down.
So we can set it up for next month, for the hearing.
Yeah, because I was like hearing what the neighbors say when they get their notice.
They're begging us to open
Ross,
soon,
for
so they
that
can
item.
come.
What's that?
They're begging us to open a store soon so they can come shop.
There you go. No, it's not always negative.
No.
Ross shall provide it to the engineer for him to review.
That can be determined at the public hearing.
Okay.
Anything else for that item?
Can't think of it.
Okay, we'll go to old business, item number 1, is the master plan, and we aren't gonna get too heavily involved into it. I know it was mentioned during public comment, and this is what we were going to talk about, is that for each of the planning commission members to review the existing land use map and make sure to note any areas that are incorrect. I know I sent a list to Ross, just a few ones that we've been recently involved with that we know are incorrect. But,
I also previously provided a list to Zach, which I have not yet seen an updated version, so I'll just make sure that we incorporate that all into the feedback that we give to Doug next time around.
Yeah, so just for the public's awareness, that's where we're at this moment, and then the goal is, once the existing land use map is accurate, then we'll use that with our future land use map as part of the discussion of areas we think maybe need to be changed or modified on the future land use map that will go into the master plan. So that's a lot of the articles we've gone through in the master plan, but we have not got to the future land use map part of it. That's kind of where we are in the process, and I don't know if you guys have any comments on master plan at this time, but the workshop will be dedicated to the master plan topic. That's our intent for next week.
So we might have a future land use map, rough draft by then? Because that was,
We'd like to
kind of talked
have
about
one.
that just a while ago. I missed the last meeting.
Unfortunately, given Zach's departure from the company, we've hit a little bit of a bump in the road. So unfortunately, we're just a little bit behind, but we're still looking towards getting it done before the end of the year.
But that was where we were at.
Yeah, I know
In the
that's where
process,
we're at,
yeah. So I don't know if there's anything, there's not much to discuss at this point on that. Unless you guys have anything, we'll go to the next item.
I got one question, looking at this one, just, all the yellow in the green here, is that because it's single-family housing? So this is existing land use, but not existing zoning?
No, it's not zoning. So just to clarify some of the confusion, as far as you're looking in, if you're looking at the FR area, where you have some green ones, some yellow ones.
Right.
The yellow ones are just smaller parcels.
So so this isn't zoning, this is just use?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just what is the parcel currently being used for? And it's accurate for the most part, but it is just generated based on general aerial views, GIS data, that sort of thing. So there's obviously going to be some conflicts, some mistakes, and that's what we're going to work on identifying.
Any questions? Anything else?
Nothing else.
Next item, just the overview there, and then the next item we have, which many people make comments about. What's that, Ross?
Well, we have called the public before. That's
Yeah,
miscellaneous.
sure. Yeah. But I don't know if the public, we could go through what we have on this utility scale solar first, and then go to public comment.
You just want to make a motion to amend the agenda?
Yeah, we will do that. I saw a few people nod, if that's okay. We can go through what we have. Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to move miscellaneous business to add a call to the public.
So moved.
Support.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Okay. So what this is here it shows a review by the Livingston County Planning Commission and principal planner of our ordinance that we have existing today. And they kind of give feedback or recommendations. So Ross, I know you probably talked to Rob about this, and Rob's been to our meeting before. If there's some high-level items you want to go through, the bullet points is extensive.
Well, I heard that previously. I think the biggest recommendation that I caught here, there are some good recommendations in here in terms of wildlife and things, but as far as the largest substantial change that is being proposed potentially by the county planning would be removing it from the FR district, which would limit it specifically to some of our commercial residential or commercial industrial districts as opposed to any residential districts, which currently we only allow for it in FR. That's the only residential district that we would allow for this use in currently. So the reason that we requested this review is just to ensure that we are doing the right thing, tightening up our restrictions as much as possible to ensure that a big company is not going to come up and, for lack of a better term, bully the township into letting them put in their solar thing without us, adequately reviewing it.
Ross in there I don't know if, I haven't talked to Rob recently, but did they mention any context of what other townships are doing or have done? Just curious if they...
To a certain extent, yes. I mean, you look more towards the kind of central northern Livingston County. That's where a lot of these municipalities are being approached with some of these larger scale solar type developments. One good thing that we do have going for us is we have very limited land. We don't have the large tracts available that some of these other municipalities do have. So I think that's one of the things that's kept us safe thus far. We have not been approached to this point, but we just want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can to make sure that the community is happy.
So the county is recommending we take it out of the FR?
Yep, because it does not meet the intent of our FR district. But there's also a lot of other good recommendations in there as far as tightening up the regulations that we have. We cannot outright say, no, we can't do this, but we can control it within reason. And as time progresses, since this is a fairly new concept, we learn more from occurrences in other municipalities, and that's what the county is a little bit more in tune to than we might be. So that's why we wanted to get their input. And that's basically where we're at right now, is we want to keep this on the radar and potentially move forward. So right now, I would say look over the review, give us thoughts, comments. I think we want to revisit it at an upcoming meeting and see if we want to move forward with initiating the amendment. We are doing our master plan. I know that's number one priority, but just in case, if we want to play it safe, we might want to work this into.
I don't believe there are any solar farms in Livingston County right now.
Not existing currently, not utility scale that I'm aware of.
What is utility scale by definition?
I don't have the official definition, but it's hundreds of acres.
I mean, because I've seen, like, they got that one down on the north side of 96, it's probably like 20.
That's a little,
That's only-
yeah.
Right, but it's, where the nursery used to be? I mean, that's not hundreds of acres, but
No.
Did
still
DTE
big.
build that, or did DTE purchase that?
It's DTE.
I know it's DTE now.
Ross said we need a lot more property than what some of these parcels.
But I'm wondering if they're putting them on 20-acre parcels.
I mean, Zach.
Yeah.
Do anything else.
That's what's kept us safe for the time being, so.
So I'll tell you my concerns. So when Zach was here and we were going through the master plan, one of the things that lit up that I remember and I was shocked was that he mentioned that Whitmer was forcing townships and counties to have so much of a percentage of clean renewable energy because of that forcing. I was just kind of a little bit taken back. How does that affect us?
At this time, I'm not 100% on it, but I don't believe that it's a mandatory thing that can be forced right now. But we do, it is mandatory that we do allow for the types of uses.
Okay.
If we simply do not have the available land, we don't have the infrastructure to support it, then
So as long as we just keep not having infrastructure, we're good to go.
So if if it comes out of FR, it's allowed in industrial and all commercials.
let's see, just verify here. Not all commercial, we do allow it in FR, PCI, Pyro A, Pyro B, and Pyro C. So just FR, PCI, and all the Pyro districts.
And there really isn't enough land in commercial or the other areas. to
Not
provide-
currently zoned. It would require a rezoning
Pyro,
prior.
though, you
Yeah.
could put it where the asphalt plant might go, right?
It would need to be rezoned prior
Oh, 'cause that's
to
not-
a Pyro district.
But it is future.
But it is FR right now.
Future land use pyro.
They could apply for it right now as long as we have the FR.
Right, so
But if it's no longer permitted in FR, they would need to be rezoned.
So Ross, what is the golf course zone?
FR.
FR also, it's the same thing. It's where you have potential where someone, like I think we've talked about it in a different context, not the context of solar, but where you, hey, I'm done, I want to retire, and you sell.
You never know until it happens.
Exactly.
That's
you
why
know,
it's,
I'm just, that helps provide.
I think we should move on this sooner than later, so
Yeah.
do we get this rolling?
if we want to get it rolling, I can go ahead and reach out to Carlisle Wortman, have them do something on it. We can talk about it, as early as next week, next regular meeting. Obviously not in time for the workshop, but.
Yeah, but people need to understand, right now, we don't have land that would be of a size right now that people would purchase.
Yep,
'Cause the
initially-
idea of the solar farm was to rent land from the landowner and put a solar farm on that.
Yep, it's like leasing from farmers and
Right.
things of that
Yeah.
nature.
But there's, I've seen multiple
Those are
that are
long-term
under,
leasing
like 50, 40, 30 acres.
Yeah, I
No,
know
they're
small
not-
ones,
that's-
assume we don't have the land,
they-
that stretch.
Almost
those
always,
stretches.
they're looking for contiguous property.
Yeah.
And
And
They
there's
need a
also,
couple hundred acres
so
to
I
make
make,
a profitable one.
Right.
So, unless they can get adjoining properties to rent from.
so you can actually make a profit
So
of about
that's
60
economic.
acres, 60 to 80 acres.
I know so that's what my family was gonna do up in where I'm from.
Right, but right now, the utility companies don't.
they're not gonna be interested in
Right,
that.
yeah.
The
Oh, they were, no,
utilities
they were actually, they offered to us,
I mean, it's.
How long ago?
like a year ago.
Okay.
They offered to my
Okay,
parents.
so it's not like people are knocking on the door.
Yeah, so, but
Right.
either way.
I just want to make you guys aware.
Yeah, there was a lot more interest here in like 2018.
Right.
Is where we actually had the larger scale solar people coming in and approaching
Right.
farmers, large property owners.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah, but and not to be political, but with Michigan's legislature going 100% Democrat, now there's probably gonna find money to push this some more.
Right.
So we need to move.
So I think Ross, it sounds like it sounds like the planning commission wants to look at it, right? and
We'll get it
should
moving
start.
forward.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, and the wind farm issue isn't really an issue here because we're not in an area where there is enough breeze to get a wind farm going.
Unless Scott's talking.
I think for my house. No, I think, is there any other items on this one? Guys?
You gotta come over to my house and have dinner one night.
Yeah, right.
Show you some wins.
So if there's nothing else on that for the planning commission, we'll move to call to the public. I'm just public comments, I'm up on a hill.
Oh, dude, I get the wind coming through.
Kim Freckles, with your park. I think that their comments on the wildlife and the natural resources are key things, especially for us, because I think the water table is a big, big issue in our world, that if we have a pretty tight
I like those
requirement on that.
recommendations, yeah.
Yeah, so I think those are, you don't want to miss those, that's what I say.
Thanks.
It's a good point, yeah.
Good, yep, go ahead, Scott. Sorry.
Now, only because we brought it up tonight, and I know we dealt with it in the future, because I had to deal with it down the road for my house, and we are dealing with it with Peabody. And when we're coming in here looking for home occupation or ag business, then they want to have special events and bring vendors in. That's not home occupation, bringing people in to sell their products. And I had to deal with it down over my house. You know, you can bring in 10 people to sell their products. That's not right. You give them a home occupation for themselves. It is. I've seen the sign, he's got, if I probably buy stuff from him, yes. But that's something we should deal with in the future. How much expansion, how much you can let them bring in there, or anybody. So that's something we got to deal with on the master plan too, for agribusiness and home occupation. You know, doing his own business and selling his own product, fine. You know, it's like if somebody's got a contractor, he brings his equipment in, he's got his workers, he comes and goes. And having events, I mean, that's going to probably be a problem with the neighbors, especially when you got that many trucks and cars coming in. But other than that, you know, like I said, I don't live there. I know the family. I mean, I don't know personally. I was a kid. I bought from there. I used to take electric trucks down there and buy plants from him at the beach. So, I mean, you guys don't live, been here long, you don't know. But I want to make something clear tonight. Got the subject of that. I've been coming to these meetings for a long time. I don't come here to gripe or complain. I mean, when I guess I'm next to my house, I'm just concerned about the neighborhood, my neighbors, and if I don't want it next to my house, I'm going to support my neighbors because we don't want it next to your house. You know, like a landfill or anything. Like I said, some of these things that are said, like you said negative. It's not negative all the time, Steve. It's somebody else's point of view. I said it's not as negative. But it's not. It's just somebody else's point. And I look out for my neighbors too. I look out for you. You know.
Appreciate that.
It's not next. You know what I've had around my house. I was pushed out of my house and followed my very first house when I was a young man. I had a sexual offender put back in the home with his kids, and I had a little boy. And that was my very first house. I fixed up, and I told the son of a gun, and the court put it back in there. You step over that line, you're done. So I just moved. I got pushed out of that house. I bought a house over there on Hartland Road. I bought a beautiful shepherd puppy. Paid a lot of money for it. And they people moved in, put a stockade fence, they had Afghans. They had more dogs than the township would allow. So they were digging under my fence. My poor puppy got so agitated. By the time he got old enough, he was so aggressive, I had to put him down. But see, I had to move him. You know, I'm tired of moving away from stuff, so that's why I stand up for this kind of stuff. But as a township, I just come up here. I don't belong to any organizations. I'm Scott Dietrich. I'm not part of any cult or any group. And, you know, I'm just saying, I've been coming to these meetings for years. I got nothing against these people or anybody else. I look out for the people down there. And I do know that we did have, I know we're going to have a public hearing, and it's going to be interesting. It doesn't bother me. I like what he's selling there. But I am concerned if he's going to start bringing vendors and having events, because if it's fine, neighbors, like I said, the neighbors are for it, fine. I just see after they turn down the wedding barn, they might have an issue with that, having people come with that many people at a time. But having home occupancy, we have customers coming in, and him doing a product there, I don't think it's gonna have a problem. So, but we'll see what happens in public hearing, you know, so, other than that.
Thanks, Scott.
Jeanette O'Connor on Fuller Drive. So I heard someone say something about the negative, you know, people not wanting Peabody's. I actually didn't hear anybody ever say that they didn't want Peabody's there. Me included, Scott included, etc. We all thought it was great. In fact, I think after his presentation, I said something to the effect of Garrett Peabody for supervisor. I thought he made a great presentation and he seemed reasonable, etc. All we are concerned about is everybody following the rules. If there are rules, let's make everybody follow them. If there aren't any rules, then let it go. So to Scott's point, he's just concerned if, you know, and I think you make great points too, Ross. If you're going to do something, put it in the proposal so it's all there and then, you know, can be voted on. But again, I don't have anything against them. I just want to see things done correctly, and hopefully township doesn't get sued from other people, you know, when they're not allowed to operate but others are. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks.
Any other public comment?
Please change this. It's terrible.
Any other public comment at this time? Steve?
Steve Hasbrook. I assume you guys haven't gone to, I brought this up a year or two ago, that, when you guys get these projects proposed, you need to go look at them. Anybody go there at all?
Yeah.
Well, when you go there, you can determine real easy whether the plans look like what is there. And also, if you, do we need to have an engineer, or these people spend a whole bunch of money, to do a drawing that, is probably unnecessary. Unless you guys see something that's missing, or what they provided you isn't accurate, then, that would trigger, the next step. So I'm grateful that you go look at them, at least part of it, you don't necessarily all you gotta go, but at least a couple, so you get the gist of what's there. The solar stuff, I caught wind of these farms being proposed in Livingston County about 2 months ago. And, it was directly related to the stuff out by Cahata and Conway Township, which, it's a massive amount of areas that they're targeting over there. So when I seen that, and I heard some of the stories, I've been to a few meetings in various places, county planning, went to Marion Township's meeting last Friday that they had at Parkman Middle School. They had a couple hundred people there it was before the board, but they were rewriting and working on their ordinance, trying to tighten it up, and they're struggling with, all the different things pertaining to it, because there's a big push by the state, and even beyond that, to do these things. They rewrote all of the, the definitions for agriculture, what's that PA, whatever it is for that includes solar farms now. They say that is farming, so, so get used to it, because they're pushing it hard. And, it's likely our township's gonna be involved because we got the main transmission lines coming through here. So don't think there's not property that they'll use if they can get it, if we're gonna allow it, or even if we can fight it, because I'm kind of, it's unsure at this point what's gonna happen.
Well, that's why
The state, with the way the makeup is right now, they might rewrite big rules that affect, you guys might not even be sitting up here is what could happen, because the state could take that over if they're, insane enough to do it, which, as we're moving along, could happen.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Thank you. Any other public comment at this time? Not seeing any. Okay, going to adjournment.
So moved.
Good work, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good job.
No, I think that last comment was right on the money. I think
In the truck here.
change the rule.
Yeah,
Still on.
That did cost a fortune for us, they don't want any.
I grabbed some out of the truck, so I got some in there.
Don't worry, your wife is
The boss passed out the start right here.
That's almost 800 acres.
GPS. Thank you. Just, he told me, when I clicked on 96, that's. That's why I use that, we come over and check out, because we're not.
For 15 years, but not anymore, now I work for Miller, you guys
So I'll show you.
That's why.
I wasn't.